Today we hike from Foxton to Dunton Bassett. Starting at the bridge, the route heads west along the canal, curving north at Foxton Locks, before cutting sharply west across the fields towards Gumley. Walking on, the route next heads northwest up Smeeton Hill and past the reservoir to reach Saddington. Continuing out of the village, we head across the fields to avoid charmless Fleckney, where, with some difficulty, we pick up the route westward through the fields, before a short walk along the roads and then southwest across the fields to the A5199. Next, we head southwest through Shearsby and then back into the fields once more until the route arrives at Bruntingthorpe. From here we follow the road north and quickly pick up another field route on the edge of the village, and then the road which leads into Peatling Magna. From here the route diverts westward across the fields to arrive in Willoughby Waterleys. Following another challenging junction, we head southwest across the fields, briefly passing down Shearsby Magna Road, but diverting across more fields to then pass alongside and over the M1 motorway. Finally, there's just a short route across some more fields and the busy A426 to arrive in Dunton Bassett itself. And once again we're off on the round. Starting off in Foxton down by the canal. We're off to Foxton Locks in a mile or so. It'll be quite nice to see that, even though we're on the far side of the bank from us. Weather today is actually sunny. Hasn't been raining all week, so humidity's a fair bit lower. I've got to say, this is a very scenic way to start on a Saturday morning. There are some rain showers predicted for later, so I am carrying my rain cape again. Maybe I'll be lucky, maybe I'll dodge them, but going the way this summer has been, or certainly this July has been, I suspect I am going to get wet later on to some degree. Anyway, on we go for the next stretch over the round. So down by Foxton Locks itself now. Okay, their little bridge being opened. Someone enjoying a lovely canal holiday. Foxton Locks, well worth a visit. It's one of those places it's great to take parents to when they come over. Still, at least the route is easy to follow, and it's and as you know, I'm always glad to be down by a canal. Yeah, I don't think we'll be going to London today. Now passing through Gumley, which is a pretty little village, even though I climb quite a steep hill to access it. Just a very short section on the roads. And then back on the fields again. So we're beyond Gumley and there's a fair stretch of fields up and down a few hills. Thankfully not too bad hills this time. To the next village, which is called Saddington. Gumley and Saddington. Someone was a bit depressed when they were naming these villages, weren't they? So far the sun has thankfully stayed with me. Actually, if anything, the skies have got slightly clearer. Maybe, just maybe, I'll skim the rain that's forecast for later this morning. No, what's the chance? It's going to rain, isn't it? I just know it. So I'm going to enjoy the sun and the fun while I can. Also just passed through a very interesting little gate or style, a chain style. I don't think I've ever knowingly been through one of those before. Rather neat, worked rather well. I wasn't quite sure how to get through it initially until I got to it and just parted it, but quite like that. As I say, never seen one before. Probably never see one again on this route. Anyway, Saddington in about, I reckon, 45 minutes. So as I'm just passing through a small herd of ladies and their babies, over there in the distance on the top of the next hill I can see Saddington. So about on schedule for how long it took, and I can certainly say those cows down there are small rather than far away, or maybe they're goats actually, by the look of them. There's certainly horses beyond them. I must say this stretch so far is very rolling, very up and down the hills, but that's quite good fun. Stretches the legs early on in the walk like we are. And certainly just past a big reservoir, the Saddington Reservoir, and that was absolutely gorgeous this morning. The sun just glinting off the water. Very, very inviting. It's probably about 20-21 degrees at the moment. Moderate humidity, which I will take. And as you can probably hear, there's a bit of wind, certainly on the crest of the hills, which is one of the reasons I didn't film up there. Ah, they are goats. There you are, little goatlings. Well, let's go across and say hello to the goatlings, and then carry on up the hill after that into Saddington. So Saddington was pretty, but went straight through it. Now heading for the outskirts of Fleckney, which could be interesting because there's a lot of new builds. I'm thinking, I do hope my map's up to date enough to show me the right place to go, but we turn left at Fleckney. We don't actually go through it, or at least according to my map, we don't go through it. We're just gonna have to see as we get there. Well, we got through Fleckney. I appear to have picked up some fellow travellers. Yeah, the signage around Fleckney was understandably absolutely dire. It's a new build estate, but they really haven't bothered putting proper signage in to guide the walker. So, that's going to be a little email to the council to say, you know, some signs will be there. Yes, see, even you agree, don't you? Frisky cow. But yes, my friends here have been following me across the field in the hope I might be carrying cow treats. I am not carrying cow treats. I'm just glad to be out of the appallingness that was Fleckney. Not anywhere I shall be returning anytime soon, I can assure you. Horrid new build estate on the edge of it. And it just kind of don't run me down, ladies, I'd be much appreciative. And it's still difficult because there's no fences here to walk up against. Oh, here we go. It's a nice big area for them to roam around though. Normally you come to a field boundary at this point and you go, no, it's fine, I'll leave the cows behind. Ah, the reassurance of a sign with the round on saying straight ahead. See, back out in the countryside, better signage. In new build estates, absolutely dire. Right, let's hope that's the only such incident today, and the rest of the route is easier to find. Well, it was sort of inevitable, wasn't it? So, another herd of cows, yappy dogs, hopefully a fairly straight route ahead where I can avoid the booze. Hello ladies. Not seeing much evidence of a bull, but doesn't mean one is not a bull in disguise. Or hopefully over the far side of the field. I must say the skies are beginning to look a bit more threatening. We are coming up to 10:15, half 10, and rain was kind of predicted from 11ish onwards, so oh well, done well to go a couple of hours without any rain. We are currently heading across the fields to Shearsby, which by my estimation is about half an hour away. So probably just in time for the heavens to open on me. And I must say, it's so nice to be back in the countryside again and not wandering around a new town whose name we shall not mention again on this walk. Oh, it's been some nice field, bit of slight diversion across the road, very short bit, and then we're back across the fields, going through some nice maize crops. A big herd of sheep who were in a field that was very, very overgrown, fantastic ridge and furrow structure, but was full of thistles, so it was a bit challenging to walk through. But we're just about to come out on, in a field or two's time, onto a main road. I can already hear it, the A1599. We have to walk along there for a short period. I think not about maybe 100 yards or so. And then we get to the next village of Shearsby. And after that, I may be in danger of having to turn my map over. And as A roads went, that was a pretty nice A road to actually walk along. I mean, Saturday morning, so probably a bit quieter. But here we are descending into Shearsby, which I can see there's a few bits of new build and a few bits of heritage. Yeah, we're kind of following the main road through this and then curving out onto the fields again, carrying on westward. I mean, westward is the major theme of today's walk, while going still steadily, slowly a little bit further south. Although I sense Leicester's border to the south has actually got a little bit further away from us this time from the previous leg. Oh, and surprisingly it's a wind tunnel as we come into here. I'll get my hat blown off again. But I would do if it wasn't tied on. Well, Shearsby was a lovely little village. Probably my favourite place we passed through today, actually. We are now passing through some cornfields on the way to Bruntingthorpe, which, if you watched any of my earlier videos, you know I did a walk from on Coronation Day this year. And weirdly, the clouds look exactly the same. That was, 2+ months ago, in spring. Here we are in high summer, and I have just walked through 10 minutes of rain. So, as predicted, around 11 o'clock we are getting some showers. Survivable showers, not too heavy, but rain nonetheless. Still, spirits are high, and to be honest, the ground is still pretty dry overall. So, the route continues. And here we are, coming into the outskirts of Bruntingthorpe. It's been nice down a farm track for a little while, and there's not been any more rain yet. I expect more is on the way. One advantage of having been to Bruntingthorpe before is last time I managed to go out of the village the wrong direction for my planned walk. Or this time I'm going out exactly the same direction and I know it's the right way because it's the road I walked the first time. So just a little way out of the village and then we pick up the field path yet again. I have to say, my impression is today I seem to be coming to villages far faster than I did on any of the last, certainly couple of legs. Now is this because I'm slowly coming round out of the east, well I'm treading the south edge of Leicestershire now, and slowly passing into the west where there are a lot more villages and towns, certainly a lot more built up. Also means I get to do a bit more road walking, which isn't a bad thing because you can make some good pace. And yeah, that was dead easy. That's the back end of Bruntingthorpe. And we are now out into the fields again. For quite a way, has to be said. As far as I can see, it's the next couple of miles across the fields. I'm not going to make quite so much speed or time, but we have the joy of this beautiful scenery to enjoy. And if we're really lucky, more bulls. Well, I've just checked the mileometer and there is some small reason for excitement. I'm now officially halfway around the round, by distance anyway. I'm quite pleased with that. Of course, it could have been a more awe-inspiring point to reach that. Now, I realise, I've left Bruntingthorpe and there's sort of 9 fields to walk across with not much other than the fields, and then we get to the road. But all the same, it does make me feel good. I have achieved something. I've done half the round.
I'd like to think I've done the most challenging half, but I will reserve judgment until I finish, probably in phase 7 or 8, depending on how much I break up the remaining bits of the walk. Hopefully, though, fair few miles yet to go today, though. Well, after about 3 fields in a row of very heavy grasses, it is a relief to be back on the road for a while. Heading north still towards Peatling Magna. We can just see the edges of there. Going there a very short way, and then we're going to go westward once more, across the fields, to the nearby village of something else. Willoughby Waterleys. Willoughby Waterleys, okay. Do love these Leicester village names. No more rain, I am pleased to report. We have reached noon, or near enough noon, so I am hopeful that the little shower we had earlier was it for us. So fingers crossed and all that, as we carry on. Well, after another 7 fields, here we are approaching Willoughby Waterleys. Good farming land, lots of cows again, sheep in that field as well as cows. And if I read the map correctly, we're more or less just crossing over a road or two, and then we're straight back into the fields again, heading then for Dunton Bassett. Again, as I've said before, great names in Leicestershire. What's noticeable is the nice little bit of wind that's keeping the humidity down when you get hit by the wind. When you walk through some of the green lanes, they're a bit more narrow. Humidity there, a lot higher when you're shielded from the winds. Oh, this gate looks a little more complex, so I'm going to stop recording. Well, Willoughby Waterleys was pretty but a little bit confusing. Very obvious the entrance back onto the fields. There's big posh houses blocking line of sights. And then the field outside it, even more confusing. Great big field, so many markers in it. Couldn't quite work out which was the right one, particularly because it was right on the crease of my map in the corner. Very, very difficult to read, so I went a little bit wrong for a quarter of a mile. Had to backtrack, and because there's a river in the middle of the field, you couldn't do any sort of diagonal cutbacks. You had to do a very circuitous route to pick up what is now, thankfully, back on the route, back on the round to Dunton Bassett. I have to say today is definitely been the day where trail markers and route finding has been more challenging, on average. I don't know if it's because we're just getting into a section of Leicestershire that's harder to read or more built up, relatively built up, just lots more villages. But yeah, I've done more backtracking today than I've done any other day so far doing the round. Anyway, Dunton Bassett awaits, and we're just going to come out in a little bit of road walking and then back across the fields. So, a little fishing place there, we're just passing through. Now, I don't know if you can hear on the audio, possibly above the wind, but there is a roaring sound of cars. That is because the M1 is ahead of us. Oh, I can see the M1 now, 2 or 3 fields away. We're going to be walking alongside that shortly, and then going under it to bypass it. We come back under the M1 towards the end of the round, so I suppose there's some significance for doing the main road, but through goes to Leicestershire, but had to encounter it at some point, I guess. One thing I am noticing is when you come out of the fields, there's always a guide mark that says into the field for the Leicestershire Round. What there isn't is a guide for where you should go on the road, and that is quite annoying because I've just more than once on the round started to go up the wrong bit of the road. It's not very obvious, so wish we had those 2-ended signs, make a lot more sense. Here's the fields way, and here's where you go in the road. Do you remember how quiet it was at the start of today's walk in Foxton? This is not going to be anyone's favourite part of the Leicestershire Round, I can tell you. Walking alongside the M1 for about a mile. And the M1's not much fun to drive, let alone walk alongside. Well, the die has been cast once again for today, and I've decided the next village we're coming to, which is Dunton Bassett, is going to be the end. It's partly decided for me because the heavens opened a few minutes ago. A spectacular 5 minutes rainstorm. I'm like, oh, I'm tired, I'm damp. And you know what, I'm ready to go home and have some lunch. But you know what, I'll put some serious miles onto the clock. I think we'll be close to sort of 13 to 14 miles more off the round today. I'll check when I get to the end. And that's, of course, not including the half a mile of deviations I've had along the route. But still quite a few fields to go, and we've still got to go under the M1 as of yet. You know, I've decided I've been walking into the headwinds for the last 3 hours, and that has really taken its toll on me. As you can tell, I'm losing my balance. Oh, it's surprising how much just, 30-mile-an-hour winds can absolutely knacker you when you're walking into them for just miles on end. And yeah, so there's Dunton Bassett, and it's a very poor style. And yeah, I am going to be grateful as hell to see the end of today's journey. And as is traditional, if you enjoyed this, give me a like, subscribe, or share it with your friends on social media. Thank you. So here we are, just coming to Dunton Basset proper. And up there on the corner of Church Lane and Bennett's Hill is where we are going to call it a day for today. I hope you've enjoyed today's walking with Llama Paws. I've got to say the first half was more enjoyable than the second half. After the rainstorms, the humidity went up, the wind certainly got up, and I am very well fatigued now, and you can tell how windy it is even now in the shelter of the village. So let's hope for the next walk a lot less wind and no rain. That would be good. Well, that's it for today's walking with Llama Paws. Fourth leg down, over halfway. Is the hardest behind me now? I'm not sure, possibly. I think most of the biggest hills are done. There is some hilly country ahead, but there's also a lot more towns to come, and they're their own special thing when it comes to navigating. Anyway, I shall see you for the next leg of the Leicestershire Round on Walking with Llama's Paws.